Discover the miraculous power of prayer, 12 divine secrets for transforming your faith journey. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came unto Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the vessels of the house of God, and the king carried them into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. Among the captives was Daniel, a young Hebrew servant, whose heart clung to the God of Israel amidst the grandeur of Babylon's royal court. The magnificent palace loomed around him, its golden idols casting ominous shadows, challenging Daniel's very existence. Each day felt like a battle, and every sumptuous feast a snare, as he was beckoned to partake in the extravagance that defied his covenant with Yahweh. Daniel's resolve did not waver. He determined in his heart not to defile himself with the king's food or drink, for to do so would betray the faith of his ancestors. Instead, he chose a simple diet of vegetables and water, a powerful testament to his allegiance to God. Amidst the raucous banquets, where laughter masked sacrilege, he found solace in prayer, often alongside his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They gathered in secret, lifting their voices to the Almighty, beseeching him for wisdom and strength to stand firm in the face of temptation. Yet the tension escalated when King Darius, seeking adoration, ordered that everyone bow before a great golden idol he had erected. The decree echoed throughout Babylon, promising death, the stark reality of the lion's den for any who dared to defy it. Fear surged through the hearts of many, yet Daniel felt the familiar flicker of divine courage within him. In a land steeped in idolatry, he resolved to kneel before only the one true God, continuing his thrice daily prayers toward Jerusalem, a radiance of hope amid the shadows. The time arrived when his faith would meet trial. The conspirators, hidden in the shadows, spied on Daniel as he prayed, fervently reporting his actions to the king. Yet despite the ominous fate awaiting him, a profound peace enveloped Daniel's heart. He recognized the eternal power of his God, greater than the decrees of any earthly king. With trembling yet faithful steps, he was led toward the lion's den, the roars of the beasts a chilling backdrop to his steadfast spirit. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the stone was rolled over the mouth of the den, sealing Daniel's fate, a deafening silence enveloped the air. Uncertainty lingered, yet Daniel's heart echoed with unwavering belief. Would God deliver him from these fierce creatures that awaited him, or would he become a martyr for the faith he cherished? The world watched, breathless, anticipating both despair and miraculous intervention. Here, at the precipice of faith and fear, Daniel's story prepares for a divine unveiling, as the faith of a young captive holds life-changing potential for his people. As night fell upon Babylon, the court of King Darius lay shrouded in an eerie stillness. The king, steeped in the weight of his decree, paced within his chambers, his heart heavy with troubled thoughts for Daniel. Though he had sealed the fate of the Hebrew youth with a single command, an inner turmoil gnawed at him. In the quiet recesses of his mind, Darius wondered if he had acted too hastily, entrapped by his own vanity. Meanwhile, within the confines of the lion's den, Daniel knelt in prayer. The stillness around him did not indicate despair, but rather seclusion in the presence of the Almighty. "O Lord my God," he petitioned fervently, "Thou art my refuge and my fortress, in Thee will I trust." Strong and resolute, Daniel felt the sharp breaths of the lions, his heart steady, for he had trusted in the everlasting faithfulness of Yahweh. As the sun slipped beyond the horizon, a supernatural quiet descended. The lions, whose roars echoed earlier like a battlefield trumpet, were lulled into a deep sleep, as if an invisible hand had hushed their hunger. In that hallowed den, Daniel expected nothing less than a divine response, for he had walked with God, and he understood that true faith often led to profound trials. The dawn broke, casting light into the cavernous den, illuminating the peculiar sight of the prophet resting peacefully among the mighty lions. Meanwhile, in his chamber, Darius could not sleep. When the first light of day appeared, he sprang from his bed and rushed to the lion's den, his heart racing. The moment he reached the entrance, he called out to Daniel, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions?" From within, a voice of steadfast assurance replied, "O King, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me, forasmuch as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O King, have I done no hurt." At those words, a wave of relief washed over Darius, for he had never witnessed such a miracle. Without delay, the king commanded that Daniel be lifted from the den. As the chains fell away and the sunlight bathed Daniel in warmth, awe gripped the witnesses. God's might and the fidelity of his servant revealed a profound lesson, a testament to the power of faith and prayer. In his heart, Darius glorified the God of Daniel. He proclaimed, "I make a decree, that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end." Yet there remained whispers among the people, trepidation mingled with awe as they witnessed divine intervention. For although Daniel was delivered, the land still teetered on the edge of uncertainty. With the king's decree spreading like wildfire, many hearts turned toward the God of Israel. The scene altered, and as the sun rose ever higher, a larger narrative unfolded, one that hinted at an unseen purpose, threads woven into the fabric of divine destiny. As Daniel continued to serve in the king's court, his faith shining brightly, the hand of God was preparing to move history, setting the stage for a revelation yet to come. For indeed, faith does not simply survive trials. It transforms, and through the unfolding story of Daniel, nations would be turned back to God, leading to an awakening that was not on the distant horizon, but imminent. What would serve as the turning point for Judah and the world? Only the unfolding providence of the Almighty could reveal the path ahead, deeper promises echoing through the ages. With the dawn of a new day, the murmur of relief swept through the city of Babylon as news of Daniel's miraculous deliverance spread like wildfire among the people. In every corner of the kingdom, prayers of gratitude echoed in unison, lifting hearts toward the God of Daniel. Yet, amidst the jubilation, the shadows of doubt and fear lingered, for the hearts of some had not turned fully to the Lord. In the royal court, the atmosphere bristled with a mix of awe and trepidation. King Darius, buoyed by the extraordinary event, summoned his counselors to address the matter at hand. He proclaimed, "Let all nations and peoples speak of the greatness of the God of Daniel. For it is evident that he is the only true God who can deliver from the jaws of death." His voice resonated through the great halls, echoing the depth of his newfound faith. But within the chamber, whispers of unease crept among the king's advisors. The envious officials, who had conspired against Daniel, felt their positions threatened, antagonism simmering just beneath their courteous facade. They gathered in hushed tones, plotting their next moves, their hearts hardened against the evidence of divine providence. "We shall find a way," one of them declared, "to extinguish the light that Daniel has rekindled." Meanwhile, Daniel took to his chamber in the court, kneeling once again in prayer. His mind was filled with visions of the future, for he understood the implications of the king's decree. "O Lord," he entreated, "give me wisdom to navigate the schemes of men whose hearts are enshrouded in darkness." A stillness enveloped him as he prayed, and he felt a stirring within, an assurance that his God was working tirelessly for his people. As days passed in the palace, an unexpected shift began to unfold. The hearts of many were drawn toward the living God, yet uncertainty loomed over Judah, distant but present. Prophecies of old crept into the consciousness of the people, echoing the works of Yahweh in the past, the deliverance from Egypt, the falling of Jericho's walls, the whisper among the prophets, foretelling the restoration of Israel. One night, as Daniel slept, a vision gripped him. He saw 4 beasts rising from the sea, each one more fearsome than the last, and among them, a figure cloaked in glory, one like the Son of Man. coming with the clouds of heaven. To him was given dominion, glory, and a kingdom, the voice resounded, reverberating with authority. All peoples, nations, and languages shall serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. Awakening, trembling before the weight of the vision, Daniel discerned its significance. The time of fulfillment was at hand. God's plan was larger than Babylon, more eternal than the edicts of men. In that moment, his heart swelled with a sense of destiny, as he understood that he was chosen to bear witness to these profound truths. As the sun cast its first light upon the city, Daniel positioned himself by the window once more, looking toward Jerusalem, the city of his forefathers, a land yet to be restored. Even now, Daniel's heart beat in unison with the ancient prophecies. The sovereign hand of God was not merely at work in Babylon, it was preparing the world for a revelation, leading nations to consider the magnificence of his ways. In that sacred moment of prayer, Daniel whispered with full conviction, "But what shall this mean for the people of Israel? What steps must we take to fulfill your promises?" The answers lay in the unseen future that only the Lord could unfurl, a path filled with trials and triumphs that would alter the course of history. For God was not finished with his people, and the tapestry of his divine plan was unfurling, reaching out from the ancient lands to touch the hearts of many, revealing that true redemption was closer than ever. In the following days, the ripple effects of Daniel's deliverance permeated Babylon, stirring the hearts of many in unexpected ways. The once hardened officials, now trembling under the weight of divine retribution, began to search for means to align themselves with the burgeoning awareness of His Majesty. They gathered yet again, albeit with silent apprehension, for the thrumming of faith echoed in the streets. The whispers had changed. They were no longer of conspiracy, but of trembling respect for the God of Daniel. Yet, amidst the swell of reverence, darkness knitted its plots anew. The envious officials, shaken but not subdued, resolved to approach King Darius under the guise of loyalty. "O King," they said, "the decree you have proclaimed can only serve to unify the realm under one true God. Yet permit us to caution you, allow no false room for error amidst the worship of the one true God we now know." Darius, cloaked in the light of wonder inspired by Daniel's fate, allowed their whispers to form a fear veiled in loyalty. "What lies in your mind, O wise men?" he questioned, his brow furrowing, and they seized the moment to sow doubt. "It is written, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." Proverbs 11 verse 14. So let us ensure that our path remains pure. As Daniel continued his prayers in the presence of God, he felt a tightening knot in his spirit, sensing the whispers of deceit encroaching upon the kingdom. "Truly, Lord," he prayed, "what is unfolding within the hearts of men? What webs are being spun in shadowed corners?" And as he sought the face of God, a vision unfolded before him, this time not of beasts, but of his own people, Israel, standing once more upon the soil of their ancestral homeland, exalted and restored. The angel Gabriel appeared before him, the messenger of the Most High, illuminating the darkness. "Fear not, for the Lord your God has heard your prayers." The time of exiled grace has a purpose. Restoration is coming, but trials must precede it. "For through tribulation, the heart of my people shall be refined, as gold is refined in the fire." Daniel, emboldened yet burdened, replied, "My God, how shall this come to pass? How can your people hold on to hope while ensnared in foreign lands? Even now, wickedness is at the door," Gabriel declared, "but your faith and the faith of the remnant shall overturn the schemes of men. For I will bring forth a deliverance through my servant, and the nations shall know my sovereign power." With that, Daniel felt the depths of prophetic understanding overshadowing his fear. He understood that not only were his people central to God's unfolding story, but the world was waiting for their restoration to glimpse the true light of God. His heart fired with a resolve to speak boldly, for he knew that the progress of God's plan could only occur when his people embraced their identity wholly. As days turned into weeks, Daniel sought the favor of Darius, speaking of the greatness of God, reminding him of the covenant, and of their shared duty as rulers and servants in the sight of the Almighty. He encouraged others too, reminding them, "We have not been abandoned, our God reigns. As it is written, though we may endure for a night, joy comes in the morning." Psalm 30 verse 5. But still, shadows loomed, and the envious hearts plotted with greater cunning. They resonated with the fears of the king, laying snares that would pit him against Daniel once more, igniting a conflict that would declare a fight not only for Daniel's life but for the destiny of Israel and the manifestation of God's promises upon the earth. In that climactic juncture, the ground beneath their feet trembled with divine anticipation, for soon the fulfillment of the ancient prophecies would unfold. But what shall this mean for the nations when the ultimate plan of redemption is revealed through the least expected? Daniel pondered, his heart racing as God's greater purpose surged through him, intertwining with the future of all mankind. In those very days, the malaise of envy swirled thickly amongst the officials of Babylon, their hearts hardened by the bitter sting of Daniel's deliverance. They devised a scheme of devious contempt as shadows whispered their conspiracies in the halls of power. Let us deceive the king, they conspired, by casting one more trial upon Daniel, who remains fervent in his prayer. What if we bait him with the very strength of his faith? Thus, they approached King Darius once more, feigning concern wrapped in a guise of allegiance. O king, it is well known that the strength of your dominion is matched only by the togetherness of your people. A decree should be born, one that commands all to worship you alone for 30 days. Who dares to oppose this summons, let him be cast into the den of lions. Darius, enamored by the praise of his nobles and his own elevation, agreed, unaware of the machinations that crawled beneath the surface. The decree was sealed with the signet of the king, and when the news spread through Babylon, many hearts trembled, caught between loyalty to the king and reverence to the God of Daniel. Yet, amidst these dark developments, Daniel heard and discerned the call of the Lord through the tumult of the city. He returned to his chamber with unwavering conviction, for his heart was aligned with heaven. He knelt thrice daily, lifting his hands towards Jerusalem, offering prayers and supplications, as had been his custom ever since he was a youth. My God, he beseeched, lead your people through this dark hour, that they may witness your mighty hand. As the sun dipped low in the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, the deceivers loaded their hearts with joy, believing their plans would come to fruition. They gathered at the king's gates, their faces marked by malevolence as they spied upon Daniel at prayer. Look! They shouted. He defies your decree, O king! Daniel, who is of the captives from Judah, pays homage thrice daily to his God and not to you. Darius' heart was gripped by anguish, for he had favored Daniel above all others. In turmoil, he sought a way to rescue him, but the decree could not be altered. The officials pressed their advantage, insistently reminding him of the law, for as the law of the Medes and Persians stands firm, so must your will be executed. And the king's countenance fell, for he knew the noble spirit of Daniel, who, with steadfast faith, placed his trust in the Lord. In the dim light of evening, as fate loomed heavily, Daniel remained steadfast, believing God for his deliverance. He recalled the words of the prophets, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name, you are mine." Isaiah 43 verse 1. In the fervency of his prayers, he felt the presence of the Almighty wrap around him like a shield. The sun rose on the following day, revealing a plot that had been woven with threads of deceit, testing Daniel's resolve and illuminating the king's heart with turmoil. For he had grown to admire the faith that refused to bow in the face of danger. What shall become of my servant? He pondered, his heart heavy with the unfolding drama. As the time of judgment seized the air, both the faithful and the faithless held their breath in anticipation. Would deliverance indeed come for one who had dared to remain standing in the light of God's decree? In the throes of conflict, there lay, hidden yet paramount, a greater purpose in the cosmos, a divine testament that would mark the pages of history, revealing once more the unyielding power of prayer and the sovereign plan that no man could thwart. For how can faith, deeply rooted, reveal wonder yet unseen, even in the depths of a lion's den? The tension soared. The answer lingered on the cusp of divine revelation. As the first light of dawn pierced through the darkened skies, King Darius rose from his troubled sleep, for the weight of the decree bore heavily upon his heart. His thoughts wrestled with torment as he repeated Daniel's name, a name that had become a beacon of hope in the shadow of despair. "O Daniel, my faithful servant," he lamented, how can I see you cast into the jaws of ruin?" Moving swiftly, he rushed to the lion's den, determined yet fearful. The air thickened with solemnity as he approached the sealed stone that guarded the fate of the one he cherished. The officials, smug in their triumph, gathered closely, their eyes alight with malice, awaiting the execution of wicked vengeance. "Stone!" Darius cried, his voice trembling. "Open the pit!" The stone that had sealed the den was rolled aside, revealing the dark void within, filled with the echoes of growls that resonated with unsettling anticipation. "Daniel!" the king shouted, his voice quaking. "Servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Silence descended, heavier than the darkness above. And then, piercing through the stillness of despair, came a voice calm yet powerful, filled with unshakable assurance. "O King, live forever! My God has sent his angel and has shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me, for I was found innocent before him, and also, O King, I have done no wrong before you." Such words resonated with divine authority, echoing through the chamber of the heart. King Darius, overwhelmed with joy, commanded that Daniel be lifted from the depths. "Let him come forth," he declared. And as they pulled Daniel from the jaws of death, there was no wound upon him. His fervent faith had shielded him from peril, a testament of God's unwavering protection. As the faithful were met with gasps of disbelief and awe, the king turned to his advisors, their crafty plans now laid bare before the throne of justice. Those who conspired against Daniel, he commanded, let them be cast into the den. He who schemes against the righteous shall not prosper. Thus, the weight of folly fell upon the deceivers, their plots turning upon their own heads. With his heart full of praise, Darius issued a new decree, glorifying the God of Daniel throughout his kingdom. To all my peoples and nations, he proclaimed, fear and tremble before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, he endures forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be to the end. Upon hearing this, the people of Babylon marveled at the miraculous deliverance of Daniel, the true testament of faith that shook the foundations of courts and hearts alike. The narrative painted a profound picture of God's steadfast love, reaffirming the promise echoed in the scriptures, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. Psalm 34 verse 17. In the stretch of time that followed, Daniel prospered under the reign of Darius, favored in the eyes of men as he had been in the sight of God. Yet beneath this miraculous surface, a whisper began to stir in the heavens, a promise yet to unfold, as the sovereign gaze was set beyond Babylon, towards an unfolding covenant that would redefine the destiny of nations. What monumental event awaited in the tapestry of God's plan? A divine revelation laden with purpose loomed just beyond the horizon, ensuring that a greater witness, a prophecy yet fulfilled, would arise, illuminating those who trust firmly in his name. For it is in the secrets of his sovereignty that the mystery of faith spirals into hope eternal. As the days unfolded in Babylon, news of Daniel's deliverance spread like wildfire among the inhabitants. They spoke of the miraculous event that had witnessed the saving hand of the Almighty, foretelling of his might and justice. The court, once a place of treachery, resonated with praises of the God who saved his faithful. In the quiet chambers of the palace, King Darius often found himself lost in thought. He would gaze towards the heavens, pondering the greatness of the God who had preserved Daniel. Who is this God? He would wonder. That even the lions bow to his command? Amid this newfound respect, Daniel was called upon to interpret dreams and visions that perplexed Darius. With wisdom far beyond mere earthly knowledge, he conveyed the mysteries of God. Time and again, he recounted how the Most High rules over the kingdom of men and gives it to whomsoever he chooses. Let the earth tremble, Daniel proclaimed. For the Lord knows the paths of righteousness, and can exalt the humble while casting down the proud. His words echoed through the throne room, igniting a flame of reverence among the nobles. Then it came to pass, in the second year of Darius' reign, that he had a troubling dream, one that weighed heavily upon his heart. In the stillness of the night, the king summoned Daniel, whose reputation for wisdom preceded him. Daniel, beloved of the gods, he implored, a great terror has gripped my spirit. I am troubled by visions of the night." Daniel, with his countenance full of grace, approached the king. "Speak, O king," he said gently, "and the visions may be understood." Darius shared the fearful dream of a great statue, magnificent in appearance, whose head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. As the interpretation unfolded, Daniel spoke of kingdoms that would arise, each inferior to the last, until the stone, hewn without hands, would come to crush them all. "In the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed," he declared. "It shall break in pieces all these kingdoms and bring them to an end, and it shall stand forever." The king fell silent, his heart racing. What kingdom could possibly stand against the force of men? Darius pondered. Yet in his spirit, he felt the stirring of divine prophecy, one that pointed beyond the tangible world around him. "Let it be known, O king, that the destinies of nations are woven by the Almighty's hands," Daniel continued. "The stone is the promise that comes, a sign of hope amidst despair, an everlasting dominion." The king's spirit was pierced by revelation. Could it be that the God who had delivered Daniel was setting in motion a greater plan for all of humanity? For within this celestial interpretation, he sensed an invitation, a challenge to embrace faith that could guide empires. As Daniel departed from the presence of the king, Darius pondered not only the fate of his kingdom but also the revelations yet to come. Little did he know that this day would mark a pivotal point in the heart of prophecy. For while Daniel had revealed the kingdom to come, another forthcoming event would soon shatter the expectations of men, a revelation hidden in the ages, destined to bring light to the nations. What was this mysterious stone that would crush the pride of kings? The whispers of the prophets grew louder, hinting at salvation coming through a suffering servant, a plan already written in the annals of heaven. The divine dance of human history awaited, revealing even greater wonders beyond Babylon's walls. As the sun rose over Babylon, its golden rays illuminated the city, casting a heavenly glow upon the marbled streets. King Darius rose early, compelled to seek the counsel of Daniel once more. The weight of the previous night's dream lingered in his heart, and he felt an urgency to understand the deeper meanings hidden within. In the palace, Daniel was already in prayer, seeking the face of the Almighty. His spirit was afire with fervor, aware that a profound revelation awaited him. As the king entered, the air seemed charged with a divine presence. "O Daniel," Darius began, his voice a mixture of dread and reverence, "I implore you again. The dream haunts my nights. What must I do? Speak, for your God is surely with you." Daniel, sensing the king's distress, said, "Do not be alarmed, O king, for the God in whose presence I stand reveals mysteries and grants wisdom to the humble. Your dream I shall interpret." In silence, he listened to the king recount the troubling images once more. The towering statue appeared before Daniel's eyes, its splendor both captivating and terrifying. With a heart full of compassion, he proclaimed, "This vision reflects not only the kings of your time, but also those that shall arise until the final kingdom, which the Lord of heaven will establish. Your kingdom, O king, is the head of gold, glorious yet transient. After you shall come another kingdom, inferior to yours, and then a third, a kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. Yet the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, breaking and crushing all in its path. But there is more." Daniel's voice grew solemn. He could feel the weight of what was to come. "It is in the days of these kings that the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed. A stone cut out without hands will strike the image on its feet, shattering the entire structure to dust." Darius, gripped by the gravity of the prophecy, pondered the implications. Is it true, then, that such a kingdom will rise? When will this come to pass? With patience and prayer, O king, we shall watch as the plans of Almighty God unfold, Daniel replied. The stone signifies the kingdom of the Messiah, who shall bring redemption and justice, even to the ends of the earth. As the king meditated on these words, another thought sparked within him. Would the hearts of the people be prepared for such a coming? How can we, as rulers, lead them to recognize this truth? Daniel's eyes gleamed with insight, for he knew that God's ways were not hidden from those who seek him. Encourage your people to look not upon their own strength, but upon the God of Israel, for only in humility and reverence can they be prepared for the wonders that await. Darius, emboldened by the wisdom of Daniel, knew not just to rule but to lead his people to seek the profound truth of the one true God. He resolved to proclaim the greatness of Daniel's God throughout Babylon, that all might know and revere the sovereign Lord. Yet unbeknownst to them, darkness loomed beyond the horizon. For while prophecy was being revealed, unseen forces conspired against the faith of the faithful. As Daniel exited the king's presence, a solemn shadow swept through the palace, hinting at trials yet to come. But in the midst of impending strife, the promise of the stone lingered like a beacon. What would it mean for the world to behold the unfurling of God's sovereign plan? The echoes of destiny stirred within all of creation, and even in this moment, a grand tapestry was being woven, destined to usher in an age of unparalleled hope and divine glory. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a veil of twilight over Babylon, the heart of Daniel stirred within him. Strengthened by the Lord's revelation, he resolved to commune fervently with God, bolstering his spirit against the shadow that loomed ever closer. In the solitude of his chamber, Daniel knelt, his countenance aglow with divine purpose. O Lord, sovereign of heaven and earth, grant me wisdom to navigate the trials ahead. For I know, as your faithful servant, that our adversaries conspire against us. Shield us by your mighty hand. Meanwhile, in the courts of the palace, Darius gathered his noblemen. Anxiety prickled at their hearts, for their positions and privileges had been bound tightly to the whims of the king. What news from Daniel? One noble inquired, glancing nervously at his companions. The dream he interpreted was a vast portent, Darius replied, guiding their eyes to the heavens. He said, the God of Israel shall establish a kingdom everlasting. We must prepare our people for it, but it seems the fabric of our realm is fraying. We must not let fear govern us. We must trust in the knowledge that God's will is supreme. Yet, even as they spoke, a plot was unfolding in silence. High among the advisors, a cadre of princes, consumed with jealousy, conspired against Daniel and the influence he wielded. Let us create a decree that will ensnare the prophet of the God Most High, one of them suggested, his voice dripping with malice. For we know his reverence for prayer. Days turned swiftly, and the decree was drafted. All men must bow before Darius alone, offering praise and petition to him for 30 days. A swift messenger spread the word throughout the kingdom, igniting fear and stirring dissent among those who followed the God of Israel. But Daniel remained steadfast. It was told in the scrolls of Moses, "You shall have no other gods before me." Exodus 20 verse 3. Daniel would not forsake his God. As the decree rang out, he continued his prayers, opening the windows of his chamber toward Jerusalem, offering his supplications thrice daily. Hearing the whisper of praise from the prophet's dwelling, the conspirators secured their trap. They rushed to Darius with feigned expressions of loyalty. "O king, your decree stands," yet a certain Daniel disregards it, praying to his God. He mocks the very law you have set in place. Darius, stricken by sorrow, sought a way to save Daniel, but the nobles were adamant. The law, immutable and unyielding, allowed no room for exception. The king realized too late that his pride had ensnared the life of his most faithful advisor. As the sun began to rise again, illuminating the fateful day ahead, Daniel was summoned before the king. With eyes filled with compassion yet bound by duty, Darius spoke, "Is it true, O Daniel, that you prayed to your God despite the decree?" "Yes, O king," Daniel replied, his voice unwavering. "I am a servant of the Most High. I will not abandon my faith." A silence descended, thick and heavy, broken only by the sound of a tolling bell that resonated with fate. The king's heart sank, for he was torn between the laws of men and his respect for the man of God. As Daniel prepared to face the lion's den, he clung to the unwavering promise of the Lord. A stone not cut by human hands would establish a kingdom eternal. What purpose did God weave into this trial? Beneath the courts of power, did his divine plan settle like dew upon the earth, waiting to burst forth in glory? Darius, powerless yet hopeful, could not fathom the depths of the Lord's intentions. In remembering God's unfailing covenant, he too surrendered to the mystery of divine sovereignty. From where would deliverance come, should the God of Daniel choose to act? So the scene became set, laying the groundwork for the unfolding of God's wondrous mysteries. As the day approached its culmination, a sacred stillness settled over Babylon. The sun hung low on the horizon, casting deep shadows that mingled with the tension in the air. King Darius, peering into the depths of his soul, wrestled with despair for his faithful servant, Daniel, who prepared to face the den of lions. "Oh, Daniel," he whispered, "your faith has inspired me, yet my spirit trembles at the thought of your fate." The king had come to know the righteousness of Daniel's heart, a vivid testament to the power of unwavering commitment to the living God. Daniel, resolute, knelt within the dark confines of the lion's den, a place meant for execution but transformed into sacred ground by divine presence. His heart was entwined with the eternal promises of God as he whispered, "O Lord, I stand firm in my trust. I believe in your rescue, whatever your will may be." In these moments of profound silence, a celestial light enveloped the den, as if the heavens themselves had descended to lend their strength. The lions, fierce by nature, lay calm and still, their fierce roars silenced by the sweet whispers of peace that flowed from on high. As the first light of dawn broke through the gloom, Darius hurried to the den, his heart aflame with anxious hope. "Daniel, O servant of the living God," he called, his voice trembling with urgency. The air seemed to hold its breath, the echoes of the past looming over the present. "Live forever, O King! My God has sent his angel and has shut the lions' mouths," came the response, vibrant and assured, emanating from the depths of the darkened chamber. The king's breath caught in his throat, his heart leaping with joy and relief. "You are unharmed? How could this be?" he exclaimed as he signaled for the stone to be rolled away. As sunlight illuminated Daniel's face, the witnesses gathered, eyes wide, hearts rallying at the sight of the man untouched by despair, marked only by faith's glorious victory. Darius, filled with uncontainable awe, declared, "Let all in my kingdom know that the God of Daniel is the God of deliverance, for he is able to save." The fearsome officials, who had conspired against Daniel, stood frozen in terror as Darius spoke forth a decree establishing a new path for the kingdom. "Henceforth, they shall tremble in awe before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and his kingdom shall not be destroyed." The revelations of God's hand sweeping through Babylon stirred echoing responses of faith and wonder among the citizens. Yet Darius knew the battle was not solely one of individual faith, but rather a celestial chessboard where the fate of nations hung in balance. The tapestry of prophecy was unfolding, each thread interwoven with the threads of Daniel's steadfast testimony that reached far beyond the walls of Babylon. Days turned to months, and with the dawning of hope, the city thrummed with transformation. The remnants of hardened hearts began to soften, prayers of humility rising among the people. Turning their eyes towards Jerusalem, they sought the God who had shielded their revered servant amidst the assault of the enemy. Daniel continued in wisdom and power within Darius' court, interpreting dreams and visions, guiding the king toward the reckoning of God's mighty hand. And as he conversed with the rulers, he proclaimed, "The rock cut without hands is coming, a kingdom that will usher in righteousness, justice, and a herald of salvation." One evening, as night swept across the quiet city, Daniel stood by his window, gazing toward the land of his forefathers Jerusalem. His heart burst forth in prayer. "O Lord, fulfill your promise to your people. Look upon our bitter exile and bring us home again." Suddenly, a whisper stirred in the night, a gentle assurance from heaven, "Fear not, for you are not alone. I will bring restoration, and through trials, the true nature of my people shall be revealed like gold refined in the fire." In the days that followed, the nation of Judah stirred, hope-igniting hearts awakened to the truth of their God. The message of faith that had righted kingdoms and strengthened the faithful echoed through history, drawing all men near to the God who saves. As the prophecies continued to unfold, and the coming of the stone, a profound symbol of redemption, became clearer, the hearts of many found refuge in Yahweh, fostering a revival that transcended Babylon, igniting belief that whatever the trials, God's plans were greater than human schemes. Thus, as we conclude this chapter of Daniel's incredible journey, let us stand firm in faith, inspired by the unwavering resolve of one who knelt before God even amidst the fiercest trials. Reflect upon the power of prayer and the unyielding nature of God's will. This is the moment to renew your spirit. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word. Help us spread biblical truth by leaving a like now and sharing this story with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's redeeming love. Comment your reflections below. How did this story impact your faith journey? For as we share His mighty works, we reach more souls for Christ, declaring His goodness to the ends of the earth. Don't wait even one more second to join us in this divine mission.